Hello, thank you for another spiritual discussion. Let's talk about freedom of will, meaning that one can act according to one's own free choice. The living creatures have no freedom of choice to choose pain or reject pleasure. And man's advantage over animals is that he can aim at a future goal, meaning to agree to a certain amount of current pain out of choice of future benefit or pleasure to be obtained after some time. Really, there's only a matter of deduction here, that they would deduct the pain and suffering from the anticipated pleasure, and there remains some surplus. And so it sometimes happens that we are tormented because we did not find the obtained pleasure to be the surplus we had hoped for compared to the agony we suffered. What is really happening is a pulling force, drawing them towards any bypassing pleasure and rejecting them from painful circumstances. If we assume that the will has no freedom, then we are all like machines, operating and creating through eternal forces, which force them to act this way. This means that we are all incarcerated in the prison of providence, which, using these two chains, pleasure and pain, pushes and pulls us to its will to where it sees fit. How do we exist in the world as beings with a self where each of us regard himself a unique entity acting on its own, independent of external, alien, or unknown forces? Well, there seems to be a rule that the majority rules, and anything going against the majority is going against the norm. It seems as though this regresses humanity instead of promoting it. This is because while most of humanity is undeveloped and the developed ones are always a small minority, if you always determine according to the will of the majority, which are the undeveloped, the views and desires of the wise and the developed in society, which is always the minority, will never be heard or taken and will not be taken into consideration. Thus, you seal off humanity's fate to regression, for it will not be able to make even a single step forward. As spiritual life is concerned, there is no natural obligation on the individual to abide by the society in any way. On the contrary, here applies a natural law over the collective to subjugate itself to the individual. It follows that the success and spiritual well being of society is bottled and sealed in the hands of the minority. Man was not created for acquiring fortune or for building buildings. Hence, one should seek everything that will bring one to love the Creator, to learn wisdom, and to seek faith. There are two kinds of discernment customary for mankind. The first discernment is called discernment of good and bad. The second discernment is called discernment of true and false. The Creator has imprinted a discerning force in each of us that execute everything that is good for it and brings it to desired perfection. The first discernment is the active physical force. It operates using the sensation of bitter and sweet, which loathes and repels the bitter form, since it is bad for it, and loves and attracts the sweet, because it is good for it. It is known from books and from authors that the study of the wisdom of Kabbalah is an absolute must for any person for spirituality. If one has not learned the wisdom of Kabbalah, he must reincarnate into this world to study the secrets of Torah and wisdom of truth. To grant the creature the possibility of achieving perfection of his own free choice, the Creator rejected himself, his light, and created worlds, restriction by restriction, down to this world. Here, man is completely subordinate to the desire to enjoy, but not to enjoy the light of God, but rather the beastly clothes on top of it. The whole of humanity is developing from the desire for pleasure that animals have, as well as through desires for wealth, honor, domination, and knowledge, until the Creator implants a desire to enjoy something unknown within these desires, something beyond the clothes of this world. Man should study not in order to receive knowledge, but to draw on himself the light that reforms. All the Kabbalists write that only through the study of Kabbalah can one correct himself and achieve the goal for which man was created. The only difference between the holy books is in the intensity of the light within them, which can correct a person. There is no other way for the populace to achieve spiritual elevation except through the study of Kabbalah, which is an easy and accessible way. Attainment begins with the wisdom of the hidden, and only then are the other parts in the Torah obtained. In the beginning, the worlds were restricted, and the degrees cascaded degree by degree and world by world down to our material world, to come to a body of this world. This is the name Kabbalah ascribes to the will to receive for oneself. At the degree of this world, a person is like a beast, since he is incapable of any bestower. In that state, man is opposite from the Creator, and there is no greater distance than that. A person who studies Kabbalah awakens a surrounding light on oneself in proportion to one's desire for spirituality. This is the light that exists outside or around one's soul. The surrounding light corrects the soul in such a way that its intention will be to bestow. The intention to bestow upon the Creator and not to oneself turns an act of reception into an act of bestowal. Then the surrounding light can enter the corrected desire with the aim to bestow upon the Creator. It is during the study of Kabbalah that the surrounding light can correct one's desires until they are worthy of receiving it as inner light. One obtains the desire to bestow gradually from above downward, from a small desire, which is easier to correct, to the greatest one, following the same order by which the degrees hang down from above downward. All the degrees are measures of the desire to bestow. The ladder of degrees is arranged in such a way that the higher the degree, the further it is from the will to receive for oneself, and the closer it is to the desire to bestow. A person gradually acquires all the degrees of bestower until one is rewarded with having only the aim to bestow, without any self-reception. At that time, a person is complete in true connection with the Creator. This is the purpose of creation, and man was created for that alone. This is why all the worlds and everything within them were not created for themselves, but only to assist man in climbing the ladder of degrees. When one corrects oneself and is filled with light, the entire system of the worlds and everything within them is included in him. So, in ending this video, please feel free to share it with others. And if you'd like to see more of this type of content, please click the subscribe button below on this channel. Also, after subscribing, if you click the notification bell, you will be notified of any new videos that I make. I would also love to have your comments and questions below. Just be respectful to one another. And again, I say thank you.